So you guys know that I'm not a huge fan of the word woke. I think it's highly overused. And even when you do use it, most of the time you end up with a bunch of people then arguing over what that term even means. But there were a couple of ads at the Super Bowl last night that were very, very funny. And you will enjoy watching because it felt like a time capsule. It felt like I'd been sent back in time to the year 2018. So watch this and then let me know what you think.
Let's settle this once and for all. Your best guy?
Girl.
Whatever. Versus our best guy.
This one gave me cancer.
The Brad.
Oh, not the Brad. I'm Brad.
I can read.
There you go. You got folded up, Brad. Get her. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Now I have worse cancer. Nobody watches women's sports like at all, except for like women's beach volleyball.
And there's a very good reason.
There's a reason for that. It's just so exhausting. Like, I know this stuff is no longer in favor, and this is honestly the minority of. There's only a handful of commercials that were even close to this kind of stuff.
It was this and the Nike one, which we'll watch as well.
Yeah.
So
if you want to play that,
one?
let's watch this one as well, guys. Here we go.
You can't be emotional, so be emotional. You can't take credit. You can't speak up. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't have any fun. You can't make demands. You can't keep score. You can't stand out. Whatever you do, you can't win. So win.
It's so funny because it's such an insult to the actual like really, really good athletes
So
like
first of
Sha'Carri
all,
Richardson.
they can't actually sell tickets or like get views. Like, no one cares, first of all. And second of all, these are actually progress from 2020, right? Because if it was if these were made in 2020 or 2021, they would all be trans women. They would all be dudes. And they just having normal women is actually better
Step in the right
than
direction.
have. Yes, it's a step in the right direction because none of those. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe none of those women ever had a penis.
Yes.
So.
Well, you know, when I imagine like the actual really, really gifted athletes like a Caitlin Clark or a Sha'Carri, like they're the top of their field, they don't need that type of pandering, but they have to embrace it anyways because it's part of the culture. It reminds me of the trope that you see like on Instagram reels where it's like, they told me I can't do this, so I did it. And I'm like, bro, nobody told you that. Yeah. Like who was it that told
Nobody
you?
cares enough to tell
Like,
you.
Nobody's
cares
told
enough to
you.
tell
No one has told anyone that they can't do something for like 20 years because there was a lawsuit that was coming afterwards if you did.
It's like if I was like here one day, I was like, everyone told me I couldn't podcast, and I can't. That would, it's like, and I can't see the computer keeps freezing, so maybe they were right.
Yeah.
Like that's funnier is to do actual satire.
Yeah.
Right? Like it feels like these types of ads are like they had this one down like in the pipeline 2 years ago.
Yeah, like it was a holdover.
Like they're like they actually didn't have the money to make a new one this year, so they're like, didn't we make one
Inflation
back in
again.
like 2021 that would have been good? And they're like, yeah, just release that one. We can afford that.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
But there was also this whole flurry of like pseudo patriotic ads that were like vaguely pro America that I thought was funny as well. And it's this dichotomy between you kind of have to use the commercials and the pandering of celebrities as a way to indicate where the culture is going, because people always get mad when the celebrities say something that they agree with, but then they're like, but they don't mean it because they said this before. I'm like, you should never look to a celebrity for authentic takes anyways. Right?
I mean, yeah, it depends. Like you probably shouldn't look to celebrities for authentic takes unless that celebrity is consistently like upsetting people. Now, I don't think these takes are good, right, at all. But I do think Kanye believes and means the stuff that he says.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
I think that he does. I think it's a twisted way. I think that he probably needs to be medicated. His understanding of things is very off, but he's not saying the things that he's supposed to say. He's saying things that he's not supposed to say. So
I mean, I just look at it as he's always used that type of shock to get attention.
I just think he's bipolar.
has he
schizo.
always?
I mean,
or is it
in the
since
last
his mom
several
died?
years? Yeah, yes. I mean, that's like I look at that as people are looking at the awful things that he's saying, and I'm like, yeah, but you're looking at a couple of them. There's like a word vomit list of tweets that are all ridiculous. Where I look at that as the totality of what he's saying is that this all screams to me an episode, not authentic behavior.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I
for
think
sure.
I think most of the stuff that he says it stems from the way that he's been treated by the music industry.
I see somebody in the chat. Was it Dave Whitley? Wait, no, I'm sorry. Cord says, I drive an MFing Jeep. Eat shit, Harrison Ford. Yeah, there was this Harrison Ford ad that I laughed because I'm like, when was the last time? Remember when everybody was saying they need to bring back the Clydesdales for...
They did bring them back.
I know. But remember when
yeah.
that was like a big focus of conversation? And now like we've got American flags in ads again for Jeep.
Yeah.
Longest thing we ever do is live our lives. But life doesn't come with an owner's manual. Might have been nice, huh? But that means we get to write our own stories. Freedom is yes, or no, or maybe. Freedom is for everybody, but it isn't free. It's earned.
I don't think I ever expected to hear freedom isn't free in the media ever again.
Yeah.
Like, if you had rewound this to 2018, I would have told you that is a phrase that has been lost to history. And this is something that I guarantee you every elitist in Hollywood has made fun of, people in the Midwest or in the Rust Belt for saying things like that because they don't actually like you. They hate your guts.
Dude, I haven't heard freedom isn't free since George Bush was president.
Seriously. I'm about to hear about freedom fries at McDonald's.
There are real heroes in the world, but not the ones in the movies. Real heroes are humble. They're not driven by pride. Pride is a terrible driver. Freedom is the roar of one man's engine and the silence of another's. Freedom is the ability to inspire. The most sacred thing in
I
life.
just imagine some like West Coast art director just gets hives having to film an American flag because they really do hate America a lot of the
He has
time.
to keep an
It
empty
isn't
hand.
the path. It's the freedom to choose it. You don't have to be friends with someone to wave at them. We won't always agree on which way to go. But our differences can be our strength. So choose, but choose wisely. Choose what makes you happy. My friends, my family, my work make me happy. This Jeep makes me happy, even though my name is... That's my owner's manual.
I do always like that Harrison Ford basically always talks about how he's like, I did it because it made me money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's his thing, which I appreciate like 110%.
He's honest.
Like, he's like, I love my work. Yeah, because your work makes you a lot of money. And that's okay. You shouldn't have to actually be upset that you make a lot of money doing your job. I appreciate that. You have to look at the commercials as a barometer of where society is going right now. And what you're looking at is a lot of, whereas 5 years ago, 3 years ago, they were pandering to far left causes. Now they're pandering to middle America. It's a George Bush is going to show up in a commercial any second now. Right?
Yeah. I mean, look, anything that casts... we have gone so far from positive outlooks on America and Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that casts America and Americans and American things in a good light, I'm for.
Yeah.
That's it's real simple,
See,
right?
I agree, but at the same time, like, living the past 27 years of my life, like, being inundated with this crap for as long as I can remember.
Wait, which stuff?
like the woke shit.
Okay. See, depending on how old you are, that wasn't the norm growing up.
But I mean, for me, it was the norm. That
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. Like, I even forgot where I was going with this. Fuck.
Just saying that 27 years of woke stuff has been the norm, and seeing it, and
No, I had a thought before that. Fuck.
It
Well,
happens.
anyway.
I loved it when you would like be on IRL and you're like, oh, lost the thought, because that shit happens to me
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, and then you
Happens.
just go, and then I just like I go left field because
Yeah,
sometimes
because
I forget mid sentence.
a lot of times I try not to talk over people. Someone will say something and I'll be like, and then they'll go ahead and they'll finish their thought or whatever, and then when it actually comes back, I'm like, I don't remember what I was going to say. So
I guess to me, it's like, it also depends on how much you pay attention to what's going on in Hollywood, right? So if you do like what we do and you speak about it all the time, then you have to understand that you're seeing a lot of hypocrisy there because they go whichever way the wind blows. And then that's when I say, it's like, depending on what your values are, you decide to say like, look, I may know that this guy's not being sincere, but he probably wasn't being sincere when he did the other commercials too. They just want the money. You can usually discern the ones who are true believers and the ones who are just doing something for a paycheck if you pay close attention. In lieu of that, you have to say, look, I may not know whether this guy is being sincere or not, but at least the message that they're pushing is something that I somewhat agree with. It's a form of pragmatism.
yeah, I mean, look, if you're dealing with Hollywood, that's really kind of what you have to get behind. You have to get behind whether or not the message being promoted is something that you agree with, and ignore who's doing the talking, because they are actors. They're all at the point of all of these people that get, you know, millions of dollars to play roles and stuff. There's no reason to believe they believe any of the things that they're saying at any time, unless they're specifically saying no, like outside of the context of doing a job, and they're like, no, this is what I really think. Then maybe you might say, well, they seem like an honest guy, and you know, they say that they're only acting in this part, so maybe I believe this. But when it comes to like when they're doing stuff on the red carpet or whatever, they are saying what their publicists say they should say. They're saying what they're advised to say, and they're not saying what they really believe. There are a lot of people that really hate the fact that Harrison Ford looks at Star Wars and says, it was a job. I'm an actor. I was acting. Like, people will go, and that's why he doesn't go to a lot of Comic-Cons, right? Like, you don't see him doing...
He's
Also kind of a scumbag.
What?
He's also kind of a scumbag to his fans.
Well, he doesn't entertain the idea that he's actually Han Solo. The guy flew a helicopter to save people, like in real life. So he flew a helicopter to save hikers.
Yeah,
and
then he
stuff.
should have kept
So I
doing
wouldn't-
that instead of playing Han Solo in Indiana Jones.
Well, he'd already like played Han Solo in Indiana Jones, so he had the helicopter
like-
afterwards. But the point being, so you can't say that he's a scumbag. Maybe he doesn't entertain the people that are fans that think that he's really Han Solo, and so like that you can say he doesn't do fan service, but that doesn't mean that he's a scumbag.
Oh no, I disagree. Like those people made him. Like without anyone watching Star Wars, or like he would have just been some guy in a movie that flopped from some weird bearded dude.
But that doesn't mean that he has to like have an opinion on what Han Solo would think about like eggs for breakfast or whatever. Like, 'cause
I'm not saying that
Star Wars
does, but like when you're like incredibly dismissive of fans in general, like even outside of the context of your like just saying, hey man, really liked you in your movies or something like that. Like there are actors like that, like Jerry Seinfeld, Kevin James, where they're just scumbags like that. They do not give a fuck about their fans.
So I can't speak to whether or not he actually does or doesn't. And this goes back to the I don't know. You can't know what they actually believe, because he's gonna get like if he says the wrong thing, then he's gonna end up getting bad press for it, and that you don't get attention, or they like if he interacts with a boatload of people and he has 2 or 3 bad interactions, those are the ones that are gonna get highlighted. I know this because I've been on the receiving end of, especially when I used to drink, someone would run into me and I'm like, assed out or whatever, drunk, and it's like, oh, you were a dick, and it's like, well, dude, I'm sorry, man, like you caught me at a bad time, and so I'm interacting with 1,000 people on a tour or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, 2 of the guys I bummed out because I was in a bad state of mind.
And that's the story that'll get
exactly. That's my point.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.